Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Bernie here along with Pete. He's ready, man. I'm ready, man.
You're ready. Holy
The Gimmick cast, man. I'm feeling the Gimmick cast today. We got a lot to talk about. We got wrestling. We got some music. We also got some video game talk discussion. But, like I said, let's get into it right now, guys. We got to talk a little bit about wrestling
Why
last.
are we yelling? We're both
I don't
yelling
know.
so much.
Only because I was so angry about last night because I watched the rerun. I didn't watch it live. I had work to do, so that's the reason why you guys haven't been getting a lot of the wrestling videos. I'm sorry, guys, but we got to talk about wrestling, and I'd rather talk about it on the Charge. Man, I'm mixing up my shows here. On the Gimmick cast. I'd rather talk about it on the Gimmick cast. We got to talk about last night's show. We have a new number one contenders for the Universal Championship. And I want to ask you, do you think it's Finn Balor?
No.
Do you think it's Roman Reigns?
Wait, so you know who it is?
Yeah.
So you're quizzing me? No.
Do you think it's a 50-year-old part-timer who's running for mayor?
This sounds like the WWE, yes.
So, if you guys don't know, Kane and Braun Strowman last night went at each other for the number one contendership to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble.
Bork Laser.
Just think about this, guys. It's 2017. You know, we're in a new era filled of independent wrestlers who are striving and succeeding in New Japan, Ring of Honor. You have brilliant guys like Kevin Steen, who's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. You got the Young Bucks. You got all these other guys, Kenny Omega, Okada. And who do you decide to make as your main championship contender? It's got to be Kane, man.
I mean, it only makes sense, really. You know, when you stop and think about it, it really just, it makes sense that it would be Kane. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not. Here on the Gimmick Cast, I'm going to be discussing here. I don't know why I'm doing it in like a Drew Gulak presentation of a PowerPoint. But, I mean, it's 2017, you know, a year of great wrestlers. We have guys that deserve to be on a level of Universal Championship level, at least Intercontinental Championship, because right now Brock Lesnar is holding that title captive.
Yeah.
So nobody can have it. So the only title you have left is the IC belt, but the IC belt has been put in a position where it's not as prestigious as it once was when a Ric Flair, a Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anymore.
It's the Roman Reigns title.
Yeah.
Miz.
Just like thinking about, because there was also a match last night, not to get like so sidetracked with it here and there, but there was a match last night between Cesaro and Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. And my God, did Cesaro carry that motherfucker to a match? Cesaro beasted and feasted. I know it takes two to tango, as they like to say, but
Yeah.
Cesaro balled out.
He always does, though. You know?
And that's what pisses me off. It's because he doesn't have the brass ring, according to Vince McMahon.
He's their top 5 guy in the WWE right now. Easily. He has been for like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
though.
This is basically just leading to the match. They sacrifice all these superstars, all these guys that are top guys potentially. Braun Strowman, who, you know, is over with the crowd.
Yeah.
And I think his momentum is going to stall again because...
Cesaro?
No, not Cesaro. Braun Strowman.
Oh, okay.
If this rumor is true that it's going to be a triple threat match between Kane, goddamn Kane, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar.
Maybe this is the end of the Kane return, though.
Well, yeah, because he's running for mayor. He doesn't have time to do this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that he's going to have to leave pretty soon. So maybe he's going to get his championship chance, right? And then he's going to lose. Like, Brock Lesnar's going to win. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe he just, like, you know, he has, like, a good match. He essentially eliminates Braun Strowman. And then he loses to Brock Lesnar, goes out looking strong. And then he's done, and we're done with him for a while.
I just don't...
It's stupid, but that sounds like something the WWE
The WWE would do that, but how stupid is that? Kane has already had his time in the sun. He's already done everything that he could when he was originally introduced in, I can't remember what year, 92 maybe?
I don't know. I don't think
in the like the 90s. He was introduced in the 90s for sure.
I think.
So, to me, you have all this talent and you sacrifice it.
92, good. That was really good. It was 1992. That was impressive, Bernie.
You have all this talent on this roster. Yet you sacrifice every single one of them for what? For Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, who can kick out of the spear and who can kick out of the F5. That's what this is building up to, which I think is kind of like a copy on Kenny Omega and Okada in terms of kicking out of their finishers.
Yeah, but it's just...
But the way that they do it,
shit.
It's terrible storytelling. They have these Hollywood writers, top of the line, created some shows. I don't know what shows they created. I'm sure they were terrible and got canceled by NBC. But you have all these Hollywood writers, and you can't come up with a decent storyline for any of these guys to get over.
You know what they need to do, and we've talked about this before. I've made this suggestion before, but I'm going to get a little bit more specific this time. I've told you, I think they should get like legit, like high-profile TV writers to come in and do it, right? What they really need, they need to get like a fucking action movie director, like a really good one.
Michael Bay?
No, get out of here with that. No, I mean like the guy who directed like the John Wick movies, right?
Yeah.
Like that guy. Or I think his name is Gareth Edwards. He directed the Raid movies. If you haven't watched those, go watch them. But get one of these guys, right? And then write like some crazy ass like action storyline, of like crazy like I don't know. It sounds kind of weird, but I honestly feel like they just need to start changing it up. Do something really different, Everything is so bland.
They need to... First of all, they need to change some of the belts. Some of the belt designs are terrible.
The Universal Championship.
Yeah, I mean...
That thing is fucking ugly.
Yeah.
The best one is the British one.
The UK Championship. That thing looks so pretty. And then, of course, you have like
I think the NXT belt's pretty cool.
NXT belt's pretty cool. But there's a lot of things that need to change. Of course, I would like to... Because, there's some old school stuff that I like in terms of storytelling. But you need to mix it in with some new stuff. I mean, the problem is that they're in this like weird conundrum or weird area and presence of that nothing makes goddamn sense.
Can I give you another conspiracy theory too? I
Go
gave
ahead.
you one in a video we just did, but I'm going to give you another one. I think the WWE is really phoning it in right now because I think they know that whatever they do in the next month is not going to be as big as the Tokyo Dome in Japan, the big Wrestle Kingdom. What is it, 12 or 13?
Yeah, 12, I think.
I think they're just like they know that the Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega thing is getting a lot of buzz.
Right.
And I don't think they want to compete with it. Honestly, I don't think they do. Even though that they're gonna get the viewers right now, right?
Right.
But they're not gonna get the hardcore like attention like that is. So I feel like I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of phoning it in at the moment. They're just kind of waiting it out.
Which to me is so stupid. Like just think about this. Because think about that Wrestle Kingdom is going to be on Access TV. Like Wrestle Kingdom 12. So people are going to be able to watch it.
Everybody's watching it. That is like a hardcore wrestling fan.
So you're going to have a lot of people watching that. And just to think what kind of numbers it'll do, I think it'll really... I mean, the only reason why I want New Japan to succeed, not the only reason, but one of the reasons I want them to succeed is because it'll finally give a old kick up the ass to WWE to finally start building up storylines that are good, competitive, building up new stars, which you already have, and rebuilding them because you've already torn them down with this Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar story.
Yeah.
And also creating new moments, new memories. Because, I mean, a lot of guys are just getting jobbed out.
Yeah.
It's sickening to me. And you're gonna lose some people, of course, but by finally someone competing with the WWE, it'll finally boost them to step up, compete. Because I don't know if you know, they're gonna have a show on the 25th, so they're gonna have a show on Christmas. Which, if it's anything like the Halloween shows,
they're gonna do like bobbing for presents or something.
It's gonna be like an elf workshop street fight.
The elf in a shelf table match or something.
Yeah,
stupid
elf
shit.
in a shelf street fight match with Enzo Amore.
It's gonna be Dean Ambrose dressed up like an elf. All right, I'm telling you exactly who it's gonna be. It's gonna be Dean Ambrose dressed like an elf.
Carl
There's
Anderson.
gonna be Probably they're gonna get the club. They're gonna dress them up like some stupid shit. They're probably gonna make them dress up like Mrs. Claus. Honestly, I'm calling it. One of them is gonna have to dress like a woman, and then that's a joke that they would do.
Yeah, and then I know Rhino has played Santa Claus before, so he'll probably get a shout.
They'll probably get Rhino, and I feel like they'll get like the Miz to do something.
Maybe Chad Hawkins.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just telling you, Dean Ambrose and the club are gonna be in it.
It's just so stupid, man. Like,
You're gonna get Cesaro too.
So dumb, man. Like, these guys are such talented wrestlers, such great workers, and you have casual people that are just saying, and also the WWE people themselves, if you don't like it, don't watch it, or like just enjoy what we do. Which is a dumb mentality to me.
That's a dumb mentality, especially because I feel like most of their roster doesn't like what they do.
Yeah, I mean we've seen publicly Sasha Banks criticizing it. We've seen other wrestlers criticize. The Big Show's criticized it before.
Tons of people are. That's why a lot of these people are leaving too.
Yeah.
You know, and even you have guys like Dolph Ziggler, who is like, is he still doing his like making fun of gimmicks routine, or did he stop doing that?
I think he stopped doing that. Now he's like in a. Oops, sorry, as I knocked that. He's in a fight, I believe, with Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode. Or Booby Rude
what
for
I'll say
the
about
U.S. title.
The gimmick thing, like I think he was honestly like taking shots at the WWE, you know? Like that was the point of his gimmick, and that's probably why it's already over. Like they wanted him to stop making fun of what they do. Like gimmicks get over in the WWE, that's what they do. If you have some weird backstory or you have some stupid thing that you come out to that everybody remembers, you get over. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with your talent, necessarily.
Yeah. My only hope is that this week on the USA Network, if you guys don't know, they're going to be showing NXT.
Interesting.
On Wednesday. So, if you want to watch real wrestling, how it's supposed to be ran by Triple H, on Wednesday, watch it. Because, I mean, you're going to see wrestlers like Andrade Cien Almas, Johnny Gargano, all those guys.
Good stuff. Has Johnny Gargano had his match with Pete Dunne yet?
Yeah, he already had it.
Pete Dunne won, right?
I believe so, yeah. I believe he won. Because, I don't know if I want to spoil anything for you, but he's going to be in a number one... I think he's going to be in a fatal four-way for a number one contenders match for the NXT championship.
He's going to win it, 100%.
Yeah, so it'll probably... Maybe we might see like a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa.
I'm surprised they're putting him through NXT.
I mean, just think about this. If he was non NXT...
What would he be doing?
What would he be doing?
Yeah, you're right. All right, I get it. Triple H, that's like his prize.
That's his baby.
That's his prize fighter right there.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne. So he probably wants to keep him with him until he's running the big show.
Yeah, until they can somehow muster up the strength to like get rid of Vince McMahon and take over.
Pete Dunne, just get a new fucking outfit, dude. I hate that stupid singlet. You look like an idiot. God, you're such a good wrestler. Change your stupid ring attire. It's awful. We don't want to see your tights, bro. All right, weird side note. I think we should move on to good wrestling, other than NXT, which is good wrestling. But I think we should move on to good wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about it. The
New Japan.
Especially,
we got to talk about these guys because they're two of the biggest wrestlers in the entire universe. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, the Alpha versus the Omega. We've had a couple promos this week from the two of them. Mm-hmm. One being Chris Jericho running into the ring in, I don't even remember where they were in Japan. But they were, Kenny Omega had a match. Chris Jericho came out afterwards, beat the holy hell out of him. Cut him wide open. Then he kind of rubbed his blood all over his face. Chris Jericho, that is. It was pretty crazy.
Definitely not sanitary.
Not sanitary. It was cool. I wonder if he had Kenny do a blood test before that.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, that was a good promo. And then we had secondary promo, Kenny Omega attacking Chris Jericho at the press conference. We were talking about this a little bit ago, but I just wanted to draw attention to it on the channel in a video. The press conferences that they do in New Japan are like my favorite thing. I think it's so genius that they do that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the WWE doesn't do that and they haven't cashed in on like the press conference, like weigh-in / like face-off hype that it builds up sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like that is made for wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
But the UFC makes so much money doing just those, you know? I'm shocked the WWE doesn't do it. Plus, it gives you a chance to just do a story and add to the story without having a match, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You can pre-film it, script it, you know? It's genius. It's genius. But Kenny Omega attacked Chris Jericho at his press conference, threw a jacket at him as a distraction, then jumped on him. Chris Jericho threw the table at him. What are you thinking about these promos, Bernie?
I think it's really good. I was talking to my friend who's also like a New Japan Mark, if you want to call him that.
Probably.
Just like Josh, he was just saying that like, you know, it's a great angle and it's just something that we need to see more of in the WWE. More realism. I mean, I don't know if I really want to see the blading that happened. I mean, it was
certainly blading in there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's you gotta be careful about that for the WWE because I know they'll get in trouble.
Dude, I mean, Brock Lesnar still does it.
Yeah, he still does it, but
he is Brock Lesnar though. So.
Yeah, but I just like the idea of this realistic feel to it in terms of everyone is still playing the character in and out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So Twitter shots. I mean, we even saw Chris Jericho go at Naito for calling it a double main event. Chris Jericho was when Naito was calling it a just one person main event.
Honestly, can I be 100% honest with you?
What?
It is one main event, and it's Okada and Naito. That's such a good match.
It will be a good match, and it'll be interesting to see what storylines told there. But New Japan is calling it a double main event.
I know they are, but just from pure wrestling,
I think from a storyline perspective, I think that'll play into the match itself because
I can't wait for that Okada.
Because it's always been the fact that Naito hasn't gotten a chance at being like the main event
it's
guy.
On January 4th.
Mm-hmm.
All right, keep talking.
But
I'm doing research.
Just going a little bit more towards news, we also might see a change in terms of what channel the WWE program is on.
Okay.
It might be coming to Fox.
Interesting.
Because their contract is coming up, and also UFC's contract is also coming up as well.
Ooh, so the theory being the UFC would no longer be on Fox, and they would go to the WWE?
No, that would be more the fact that it would be like, which one would you sign, or if you sign both of them on like the Fox Sports channel or anything like that, just regular Fox Sports 113 or whatever channel Fox is on for you guys. That would be like
That's a good debate, business-wise. Which one would you choose, like as far as just from a business perspective between the two?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my perspective as a big fan of both, taking UFC.
Taking UFC?
Yeah. I mean, they're in like a weird kind of lull right now where a lot of their stars aren't fighting anymore.
Yeah.
Like Conor isn't fighting and Ronda isn't fighting, but like...
I'll just be interested to see that because if
they have a lot more room for growth.
Yeah, I'm just interested because if the WWE has already signed Ronda Rousey, it's been official.
It's going to be fucking terrible. Can I just tell you now? It's going to be terrible.
You think it's going to be terrible?
Because there's no way they didn't sign her with some intention of her being the women's champion at one point, you know? And she's not going to lose, really, you know?
I'm sure they'll build this. I mean, if they're smart, they'll build a storyline to her kind of climb and rise. Her versus, I'd probably save her. I'd save her and Asuka for next year's WrestleMania. Not the 2018 one, but the 2019 one.
So you're saying that she's going to be in this WrestleMania coming up?
There's rumors that she is because they're going to do the 4 horsewomen of the WWE.
They're not even going to like put her through like the training?
No, they have. They have been.
Okay.
She's been training in the background. She's been training with Brian Kendrick and also Natalia, who's a good worker. Not a good, wrestler package all around in terms of character.
Yeah, athletically, Ronda can definitely wrestle, you know?
Mm-hmm. Because I think another thing that's been interesting to me is that Asuka's been doing a arm breaker, which is Ronda Rousey's gimmick.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be Battle of the Armbar.
Does she do like a flying armbar? Is that what Asuka does? Does she like jump up and put them in the armbar? Is that kind of what it looks like?
Yeah, I believe so. I think.
I'm gonna look it up while we keep talking.
But yeah, I mean, this all just leads to UFC, WWE.
Man, I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake.
I don't know. I mean, the WWE is making more money than ever now. I mean, obviously, some of it due to cutting costs in some areas, but they're still making a lot of money. So it's not like you're losing a lot of money, and it's also less taxing on the body than UFC. So I mean, if you could get guys like Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, I mean, they both have that. I mean, that's what makes these fighters more interesting, is because they have a WWE element to them when they're in the UFC.
Yeah.
In terms of their promo battles and all this other stuff. So it'd be very interested to see if the WWE does go to Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people like Colin Cowherd would be pissed because he's called those fans booger eaters. So it'll be interesting to see like him actually like having to cover that stuff and sometimes.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, man. I think cross-pollinating the two is a big mistake. Because I think, like, it brings to question a lot of, like, realism that they shouldn't need to have, like, mesh together, Because then you have, like, let's say Conor McGregor does come to the UFC, right? Or to the WWE, rather, right? He's, like, a legit world-class fighter. He's not going to job out to any of those dudes.
He's jobbing out to Roman.
Anybody on the WWE roster up, bar maybe Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, just because they're so big, So, and even then, I honestly would take him in a fight against Braun Strowman, 100%. Maybe not Brock Lesnar, but my point being, like, you have this weird mesh of, like, actual real fighters fighting fake fighters. So where all the casual fans know that this is fake and scripted, but they know Conor McGregor really beats people's ass. So when you have a storyline with Conor McGregor where he's losing to Roman Reigns, who is actually watching that like, yeah, this is good, Because there's no way they're just going to let Conor go like, 100 matches in a row. He's just beating everybody up,
Yeah, I think
it's dumb.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because if they're smart, they'll do the smart thing, which NXT does very well, because they limited it to an hour and it's not very long, is that you sparingly use these wrestlers on the shows, so you kind of like mix and match them from show to show. And that's what NXT does so well, and that's why some guys like Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas and also Drew McIntyre before he got injured, that's what makes them more interesting, is because you don't show them every day on the show. So when you hear their music, you hear all this stuff, it makes them more intriguing and more interesting. So I think they probably will do the same thing if they do end up getting Conor McGregor. They'll definitely do the same thing with Ronda Rousey, or at least they should.
It's going to just be, like, the worry that I have even more so is that it's literally like they're going to book them the same exact way they do with Brock Lesnar, where they come out, they do their 5 moves, and they destroy everybody. And like, even just having Brock Lesnar, I'm sick of it. Like, it's too much of just that,
Yeah. Well, I think the reason why it's, like, sickening is because he doesn't do anything in his matches. Like, he's just one of those dudes that's just suplex, F5, get my money, get out.
The thing, too, with Conor McGregor is, like, his fighting style, like Brock Lesnar does moves in real life, like his wrestling style background fits into WWE wrestling. Conor McGregor's fighting style doesn't fit into fake fighting. If he does like a crazy spinning back kick and he just kicks Roman Reigns' jaw off, like it gets a little too real,
Yeah, but I mean that's the reason why I'm sure, like, before, if they do sign him, they're gonna make sure he goes to the performance center and learn the stuff if he wants to do it. I don't think he needs to, because he already has enough money. He could just retire now.
I hope he does. I hope he retires and he never comes to the WWE. I think it's a mistake. Yeah. If he does anything, he should be like a manager, like the mouthpiece for somebody, And that is something I could see him wanting to do, because he doesn't have to fucking do any physical activity. He just gets to go out and talk. And then every once in a while, who knows, he just beats somebody up. But he doesn't have to wrestle. And I think that's a mistake with Ronda Rousey. I don't think she should have to wrestle either.
But I think she's been a fan of the WWE, so I think...
They've been building this up for literally 3 years.
Yeah. And I think this is just one of those things where if she's motivated to do it, if she wants to do it, they'll give her a chance because of her name and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm still going to be on a wait and see with Ronda Rousey. I think I will be more excited than you are. Yeah. But I'm going to give it a chance, see if it works. If it doesn't, it's no big deal. You have so many other women like Tessa Blanchard, all these Kairi Sane, Asuka, Charlotte, Becky.
Yeah.
Poor Becky, man. She doesn't even get a chance anymore. I would like to see those opportunities given to them if this Ronda Rousey experiment fails.
All right. I mean, I agree with you to some extent. Like I said, I just think it sets up for a lot of failure. It just sets up for failure as far as storytelling is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, this all comes down to, again, can WWE write better storylines? Can WWE hire better writers? Can they hire guys that understand the wrestling business? And I think that's where they get lost sometimes. And I think that's what they should do more of, is hire guys that know the wrestling business.
Yeah.
So then storylines make sense. Rules that were once in place, they can use them. Because sometimes there's some matches where it's like, I can't remember what it was. It was like a no-holds-barred match, no disqualification match. And someone held the ropes and the ref did a count. So these guys need to understand the rules. And I hope we see that.
I agree. I like it, Bernie. I can see your point. I'm very wait and see.
Yeah, it's a very wait and see.
The UFC, WWE cross pollination.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where they end up going.
It's an experiment.
Yeah,
it's an experiment for sure.
All right, we're back now. We got just a little break here. We got some video game talk to discuss, and I guess I have a discussion, and Peter's got something to give me an answer to, and that is what was the worst in terms of video game microtransactions? 2017 was the year of the loot box, year of the microtransactions, with Battlefront 2 taking the charge along with 2K. Those two led the front. But you have another game that also led the front as well.
The worst.
The worst of them all.
And this is just my opinion, because this is a good game regardless of the microtransactions, and I'll explain why. Middle-earth, Shadow of War, the new Lord of the Rings game, is my culprit for the worst of the year. The reason being this: an almost entirely single-player experience with limited multiplayer. And there's still microtransactions in a single-player game. I think that is just about the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Having microtransactions in a single-player game. Long ago in the year 2010, when you had unlockable stuff as the game progressed, like you play the story and unlock stuff, rather than you play the story and you can unlock stuff if you pay for it. Like, I think that's such a bad culprit, just for the fact that, like, you've paid for this singular experience. Like, most people buy that game to play the story and play through the, campaign of the game. They don't care about the multiplayer. I didn't play a single second of it. But when you're playing and there is microtransactions in this game that help you play it, I think that's a crazy issue. Battlefront 2, like, you could say that, like, you don't get the full experience without microtransactions, but you still unlock stuff as the game goes on, you know?
But it's just more of a grind.
It's more of a grind. You don't need the microtransactions, though. You don't need microtransactions in Shadow of War either, but it's a single-player game. Like, to play the full single-player experience of Battlefront 2, which I have played, it's not very good. There's no extra charge to play the single-player, you know? There is in Shadow of War, though. I just think it's crazy. A single-player game with microtransactions blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think 2K is also guilty of this as well, since it is... I understand, like, 2K is also a multiplayer game, but it's also a single-player game, because a lot of people like to play it for the My Career mode. And with the fact that you have to buy haircuts, the fact that you have to buy accessories, you have to buy shoes... which are all a lot of money. Not to mention that the same VC you use to buy that stuff, you also need to upgrade your player. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. I'm getting sick and tired of companies like 2K, EA, and who made Shadow of War?
I want to say it's an Activision game, but let me go check.
I mean, regardless of who it is, this needs to stop.
Yeah.
It's becoming to a point where we can't even have fun with the game anymore without having to pay for some sort of experience. It's like you pay for the bun, but you want the lettuce, the pickle, tomato, and the meat. And you're not getting any of that stuff with just the bun.
It's a Warner Bros. Game.
Yeah, so they're shady in my part.
Sus too. I mean, it's big companies, you know, and then like it's infecting every other type of game.
Yeah,
you know,
everybody's doing it, which is such a lame model. It's like I don't understand how you can have a freemium model in games that are $60. It makes no sense to me. I mean, it's not. It just gets to a point where it just gets tedious. You have to grind a lot. And just to think about this, EA makes $1 billion alone just on Ultimate Team in sports games. So I don't understand why they need to be even more greedier by putting it in other games. I think it preys on people's weaknesses in terms of wanting to kids, adults, young teenagers, whoever it is that plays video games, and they have like this gambling habit or just addictive habit.
Addictive shit.
And it's unfair to those guys because I mean there's been countless stories of guys that have gotten addicted and spend a lot of money that we've heard about. I just think it's time for these companies to step up in terms of not all games need to have microtransactions. I think it was one of the reasons why that Star Wars single player game got canceled.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, the days of having a full experience in a $60 game, the day it comes out, are gone and over with.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't exist anymore. Like, maybe it doesn't exist necessarily. It's just very, very few and far between games that come out.
Right.
Like, I honestly can think of maybe, like, trying to think of a single game that came out this year that was a full experience for $60. Like, there was no microtransactions. Oh man, I honestly,
it's hard.
Wolfenstein 2. There you go. There's one. No microtransactions. That was a full game.
Yeah, I mean it just goes to show you, like, just think about that though. One game out of the countless amount of games. I mean, of course, maybe we're missing a couple more games.
I played a ton of games this year. I just can't think. Maybe Cuphead, I guess, but that's just like not a very big game.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about like AAA experiences from these big companies. You make so much money. You cannibalize the market by like getting rid of studios, getting rid of everybody that makes video games to a point where you want them to spend even, well, not the companies. Well, I guess they do spend a little bit more money than they used to, but you get the consumers to spend a lot more money than they're used to spending. I mean, it's already, just think about this. I mean, if you buy 2 games, it's already $120. And if you want to spend microtransactions, you're gonna have to spend at least,
you might be up to $200.
$250. I mean, it's crazy to me that it's even a thing. And the amount of grinding you have to do to get some of these like unlockables is ridiculous.
Gaming is becoming a very expensive hobby for basically anybody. You know? I don't understand it, honestly. Because then, like, you know, continuing on the conversation, we're in the era of there's microtransactions, and then there's rushing of games. Those are the two big things.
Yes.
Trends in video games.
Especially the second one.
Sometimes you have both, right? NBA is a very good example of both happening.
Right.
What was the other one that the other big one?
For
Battlefront 2. See, that wasn't necessarily rushed, though. I wouldn't say that one was rushed, because it does have a lot of shit in it, but it's pay to win. But then you have games that are just one, which is like Mass Effect Andromeda, right? I've expressed my disgust over that game many times on the channel, but that's the perfect example. It's like not any microtransactions that I know of, but it's just an awful game. It just came out so fast because they wanted to maximize their money. So EA, who also made Mass Effect, like, they literally can't put a game out without fucking it up royally in one way or another. Yeah. They're the worst. They're the worst video game company.
Yeah, I mean that's why they've been voted, worst company ever, or just like worst company of the year multiple years, because they do the shady stuff that affects consumers, that affects the development team of making these products. Just think about how crazy it is that you have some products that are rushed to a point where it's like maybe it's like an alpha.
I mean, like, that's the thing. One way or another, they're not going to give you a complete experience. Whether they just put the game out at full price and it's not done yet, Mass Effect, or they put out the game and it's complete, but you have to pay for it to be complete, like extra, like Battlefront 2, you know? Like, you don't get the whole game unless you spend $100. Like, I don't know. Like, they're charging people now at this point, it's $60 for 2/3 of the game, and then either the other third of the game isn't out yet, or it is out and you just have to pay extra for it.
Yeah, I just get so frustrated with it. It's becoming a very expensive habit because you not only have to buy the console itself, because we might see this shift in console movement where it's like we're going to get 2 to 3 year cycles now, kind of like a iPhone Model S, where it's like you're going to have the Xbox, the Xbox S, and then you have the Xbox X.
And keep in mind, guys, this is a big bummer for me too. We might see a new generation of consoles at the next E3.
Yeah, the PlayStation 5, I believe.
We might see PlayStation 5. We might see another Xbox.
I don't think Xbox, just because this one came out, but maybe in a year or two.
The PS4 Pro only came out like 6 months ago.
Yeah, I know, and they're already thinking about making a new one.
I'm telling you, I honestly think we're going to see another console because it's been 5 years. And these companies are so greedy right now. And that's the big problem. Like, they're gonna see a big crash coming up.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna get sick of it really quick. And I'm telling you, if they put out the PS5 this upcoming E3 and like next year, it's not gonna do well. Like, it's gonna do really bad, and then Sony is gonna crash. They're gonna crash. Just calling it.
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks because they've had a bad. A lot of their other divisions are doing really bad.
I mean, they're killing the gaming right now. Sony.
Gaming, they're killing it, but like the other divisions, like your TVs, your music, even movies, I think, are not doing as well.
Yeah.
And so it just comes to a point where does it stop in terms of trying to rush out stuff? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Let's go to at least like an 8-year cycle for consoles. I will take 8 years.
Because, like, think about the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Like, the games that were coming out towards the end of the life cycle of those consoles, which was probably the longest cycle for any console ever. It was 10 years. They were still putting out games that were, like, impressively good.
Yeah.
You know? So, what that goes to show is, like, you don't need the new consoles, you know? They're just like, they're greedy for the next wave of console sales, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really crazy. Because from a business model, too, I don't know if you know this, like, consoles don't make money.
Yeah.
It's the software that makes money. And I think people forget that, which it makes it even crazier that they push new consoles all the time. Because once you get to, like, year 5 of having the Xbox One is when it starts to be profitable and it starts to make money for the company. So why, I don't know, why wait, or why, like, move so fast forward, you know? It's just not necessary.
Yeah, I think they've fallen into this model of the cell phone market, which to me makes no sense why you would, because cell phones are a lot different than consoles themselves, because it's something that stays at home and something that, the hardcores use it a lot, but like, the casuals, they don't use it as much.
Yeah, for a lot of people, your console, you might turn it on 3 times a week, you know, if that. Some people, maybe it's 1 day a week and for a couple hours.
Yeah, so that's where I just get confused with their mentality, their kind of thinking and logic of, okay, we're going to make an Xbox, but in a couple years, maybe 2, we're going to make a S version of it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make the better version of it. I mean, these consoles have now become almost budget PCs. In a way,
that's what like the Xbox One X or whatever it's called. That's literally what it's marketed as. I don't know. I think the video game industry, I should say, is really, it's hitting this weird peak of not being able to sustain its own weight. You know, like games like Battlefront 2. might honestly ruin EA as a company in the next 5 years, because like let's think of it, they might end up losing Star Wars, which is their big money. You know, like Disney with all the things they're buying, they're gonna have like the biggest video game division of any company, you know, by themselves. So why would they need to outsource for a game like Battlefront?
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna lose Star Wars. They lost a ton of money on the game itself too.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. 4 months after Battlefront 1, it became a $40 game, but now it's become a $40 game after
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
If that, maybe 2 weeks, right? Like, I seriously, I don't even own the game anymore. I bought it the day it came out. I already got rid of it. I sold it already because it's just like, it's an empty game, you know?
Yeah.
There's just no sustainability. You know, Call of Duty is going to thrive because they put out a game every year and they have this market that's been established for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But even Star Wars being such a, you know, ingratiated brand, you know, for the United States population, like their games aren't going to just hold the attention of mindless people like Call of Duty can, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I hope EA goes out of business, honestly.
Well, I just hope like there's regulation now in the gaming industry, because there's some games that EA makes that I'm okay with in terms of, I mean, FIFA's okay. Madden, they need to do a lot of work on. The one thing I will talk about, though, in the sports game, this is related to sports games because I am more of a sports gamer, that they're thinking about doing a subscription model with sports games now, where it's like you buy one disc and you have to just pay a subscription once a year.
Once a year, and then they like update the game to the next year's game.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that, because what it'll lead to is no innovation. It'll just lead to roster updates.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Like, barring a few different game modes that come out every year, they're basically the same games anyway. You know?
Yeah, I just think the problem, though, is that if you do this type of way, it creates an outlet for EA to be even lazier in terms of...
I think they're already lazy, dude.
I mean, they are lazy because there should already be some game modes in FIFA that should already exist, like online career mode.
Online career mode, like seasons, like with just like, you know, offline seasons too, you know? I don't know. I don't think that's changing their laziness. And honestly, they're going to, like, I would say that's a good idea, you know, because I do think sports games come out far too often. Mm-hmm. But they're going to find a way to, like, charge people more than what they would pay if the game just came out yearly, you know?
Yeah, I'm just afraid that they're going to do more stuff towards microtransactions, because the guy or the head of EA basically said, like, if we don't have microtransactions in the game, why do we even make it?
Yeah.
Which is a damning statement from a guy and a company that has been the most hated company ever, most downvoted Reddit vote ever.
Rightfully so.
They don't learn their lessons, and then they just come out with BS excuses.
Well, yeah, and then, like, I don't know if you read that article that came out about why they canceled the new Star Wars game. Mm-hmm. Did you read it? Like, the interview with the guy at EA, and he basically said that, like, people aren't interested in single-player experiences anymore.
Yeah, so stupid.
Which is just, like, so lazy, you know? Like, look at some of the games that have come out in the last couple of years, single-player-wise, and how popular. Skyrim still sells millions of copies every year, and it came out 8 years ago or 7 years ago. I'm literally playing that game right now, the new copy.
Yeah.
It's a single-player entire experience. Like, there is no multiplayer or even mention of it.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, there's no multiplayer, you know? You don't need it. It's a single game. Like, people want to play those games. Nobody makes them. That is why it's not... That's why it's dying. It's not dying because nobody wants to play it. It's dying because these greedy companies know that they can't get microtransactions. But you have awful companies like Warner Brothers who put a single-player game and add microtransactions in.
I think Activision's doing the same thing with Assassin's Creed.
awful. It's nightmarish. The only hope we have in the single player genre, Bethesda, and Japanese companies. Those are the only hopes we have.
Yeah, because I know Bethesda in the gaming awards when it happened last week, they were talking about how they were throwing shade at EA for their thought process in terms of single player experiences that no one plays them anymore.
I'm getting heated. I'm getting the blood is
the blood is boiling
right now because like it's such a backhanded, lazy excuse to not make a good game.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those pathetic excuses, like you said. I mean, it's just one of those things where the companies are trying to add these microtransactions, which obviously not every game needs microtransactions.
Yeah.
And they were just like, well, if we can't make that extra money for microtransactions, why are we really doing this game? Which is just idiotic to think that you would even...
It's people who have never played a video game and have no connection to video games trying to cash in on video games.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Just a bunch of suits.
All right. Little pause there.
Little pause.
Little weird cut.
We got the phone gimmick. It's the phone gimmick.
The phone gimmick. Literally, I think we have one of those every single time.
Yeah.
But continuing on our conversation, because like I said, I'm very heated about this, and I think it's
rightfully so.
I know for me, video games. I literally remember playing the first video game I ever played. I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I played Metal Gear Solid. I have such a love for video games that it pains me. Like, I know we talk a lot of trash about old heads in hip hop, you know, because we like. There's always the rose tinted glasses of like it was always better back in the day, you know. But I think that's where the problem lies. Is like as an industry grows, like you see these growing pains, and it really does hurt to be somebody who was like passionate about the form of media, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, video games are definitely my favorite out of like movies, TV, music. Video games is where my passion lies. So seeing like a company like EA just come in and abuse it as an art form, you know, it hurts to see that. Even as somebody who doesn't make video games. So, I don't know. I appreciate companies like Bethesda when they made that comment, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have, like, I don't know if you saw this one, but CD Projekt Red, which is the company that makes, like, The Witcher. Mm-hmm. The guy, one of their guys, you know, the president of their company, I think, came out and made a comment about their new game, Cyberpunk 2099 or whatever it's called. It's going to be fucking dope. But he came out and said, like, of course we're not putting microtransaction in this game, you know? Mm-hmm. It's a single-player experience. You don't need microtransactions to play a single player game.
Yeah, exactly.
So I appreciate when you have a guy like that who's the head of a very well-known company that makes games that everyone loves come out and, you know, disparage these money-hungry companies, you know?
Yeah, I'd like, just from my experience coming from it, my first game was Pokemon Gold. Good game, man. I missed that game. But just thinking about like what would happen in the future if, like, let's say Nintendo got into the microtransaction business. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have or not because I haven't really had a Nintendo console since the Wii. Just thinking about like what if they decide to put microtransactions in Pokemon, where it's like, okay, you want this because I know they do a lot more customizations with the player model itself. Mm-hmm. Just imagine it's like, oh, okay, you want the blue hat, 99 cents. If you want to go to this, like, if they still have the Safari Zone, if it's still called that. Just imagine just like paying like $5 to go into the Safari Zone.
Yeah. Well,
garbage.
But see, that's the thing I'd like to talk about with Nintendo. Like, and I feel like as far as money is concerned, they're genius, right? Because they have a very big separation between their microtransaction games and then their regular games.
Right.
Like, you can get a completely singular Nintendo experience by playing Zelda. You can play Super Mario Odyssey. You can even play like the new Pokemon games, Sun and Moon, which I played one of them. I played Moon, I think, when it first came out. Mm-hmm. There's no money, you know. There's no microtransactions. You pay for the game, you get the full experience right there.
Yeah.
But then they do have like their mobile games, right? You have Pokemon Go. You have the new Animal Crossing game where you can pay for stuff, but you don't necessarily need to. But I feel like Nintendo is the perfect way to do that if you're going to.
Yeah.
You know, you have your games that are like kind of addictive, and you can pay a couple bucks a week to keep playing.
Yeah.
Or you can just play Zelda. You know.
Yeah.
You can just play it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious to see where the video game business goes from here in terms of the loot box situation. I know a lot of governments and a lot of places are telling the ESRB or the ESA, I think, they're telling them to, hey, you guys either govern it yourselves
or we're going to do it.
Or we're going to do it for you, and we're going to tell you what rating this is. Because
we don't want that as video gamers.
No, because, I mean, there could be games that are rated A.
And then they don't sell any copies, you know? Like Grand Theft Auto. Being regulated would be awful.
Yeah, because it would just be rated A and not M.
Yeah. I don't know. I think as far as... Excuse my sweater taking off.
Because if you have it rated A, you can't sell it at a GameStop.
Yeah. And, like, what does that do to a series like Grand Theft Auto? It kind of ruins them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Because they do the microtransactions thing, too, which is also...
Yeah. But you don't need it to play Grand Theft Auto online, you know?
Yeah. It just helps a lot.
I think we hit a perfect stride of video games in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2010 to 13 or 14,
mm-hmm.
where they knew exactly what it was that people wanted to pay extra for, which was more story, DLC, and like map packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had no problem spending an extra $20 on a game if it gave me more content that I actually wanted, you know? And we don't get hardly any DLC for games anymore, you know?
No.
If it's DLC, it's costume packs, or it's, you know, hardly even map packs, you know?
Yeah, barely any map packs.
It's like, oh, here's, you know, spend $10 and you get, you know, the new costumes for this, you know?
Yeah.
Like Marvel vs. Capcom, the new one, Infinite, that just came out. They have a thing that's like you pay $30 for all the costumes for all the characters, or you pay $4.99 for each, and it's literally like 15 costumes that are out now, and then like 15 more later. It's like, what are you doing? You know, your game wasn't even complete when it came out. There's a reason it's sold awfully. Give those away for free and put out stuff people want to pay for, like new characters, not the costumes. Start giving that away for free.
Yeah, I'm just getting sick of video games doing this predatory practice and not really giving what the consumer wants or what the consumer you think will need. Yep. Instead, it's like, okay, Suits are saying, hey, how do we make more money off this video game gimmick? Because we don't know anything about video games. And, oh, okay, we'll just add more, like, these costumes. Because if we make things look shiny, if we, you know, do the animations, like in Call of Duty, if we let people watch other people open up their packs, and you get an achievement for it, like,
it's embarrassing.
That'll sway the people to get packs, and it's just like, come on, guys, this is not the way to do it. There are better ways to do it. I just don't get it, man. I mean, we hit a perfect sweet spot in the early 2000s, and then kind of the late 2010s, not the late 2010s, but the early 2010s when it first started, and now we're in this new era of the microtransaction era.
Well, like the last thing I'll say, or one of the last things I want to say about this is like video game is finally like established as a mainstream thing people do.
Yeah.
It's not nerdy to play video games. Like if anything, you're not cool if you're not playing Zelda or whatever, or Mario, you know? That's cool now. So by, you know, popularizing the medium so much, like now a lot of these companies can just do whatever they want because now it's cool to do those things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now all the big like mainstream pop artists and, you know, rappers and stuff like that, what do they do when they don't have a show? They Twitch stream, you know? They're playing Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
they're playing 2K, they're playing Call of Duty. They're doing a lot of things that are not, as in the past, was looked at as geeky.
And now they don't even have to think about it, about how much it costs to play that game, you know? Not only because money isn't an object to them and paying an extra $100 for microtransactions doesn't matter, but because a lot of these times the companies just give them shit just because they're popular, you know?
Yeah.
And they are going to show off, oh, you know, here's 100 loot boxes in Overwatch. Open these, you know, in front of your Twitch streamers, and you can just have them, you know? And then it makes the people who don't have any fans. You know, they want to buy those because they're watching this addictive thing go on. You know,
I just think the one way to combat this is just don't spend money on these microtransactions. Let the companies know that this is not the way to make a quick buck, because this is very short-term money grabbing.
Yeah.
Because if you lose the trust of your fans by adding these microtransactions, doing all this kind of crazy BS, you're gonna lose the fans. The fans are gonna turn on you, and they're gonna be like, you know what? I'm not gonna spend my $60 on NBA 2K19.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of having to pay, 100,000 VC, which is like I think $30 or $20. I can't even remember how much it is. But spending that much money just to get your player to like an 86 or like an 85 overall.
Yeah.
Garbage.
It's trash. I agree with you. Absolute trash. I don't know. The worst part about it too is like the people I feel worst for is video game developers that actually want to make good games.
But they're forced.
But they're, forced. Like there's like a very select handful of video game developers at this point that can do whatever they want and make actual good games that don't have microtransactions. Like literally one of like 3 people I can think of is Hideo Kojima. Metal Gear Solid creator is making Death Stranding. If you're watching the trailers for that game, that looks so weird, but it's a story-driven game, and he's just doing whatever he wants. But that's because like you see Hideo Kojima on the screen, and it's like marketing by itself. Because most people are buying his games just because he made them. Like I know for a fact I'm buying his game the day it comes out because it's made by him. So. I mean, that's the problem. Like, we need more, like, developers who are, like, characters unto themselves.
Yeah.
Who are selling their games not because of what the game is, but because of who they are. And then I think we start to eliminate some of the extra marketing that goes into games. Tell us what you guys think about this. Honestly, I know the two of us are a little heated, both passionate about video games, different kinds of games. So, like, it bugs me to no end that we get new Star Wars games and they're trash, or they're actually decent, but they're bogged down by trash, and then they're not popular, and then people don't want them. I don't want to see Star Wars games go away, but I don't want to see games like Battlefront 2 ever again.
Exactly.
So if that's the best a company can do, I'd almost rather not see a new Star Wars game for a while, which is really sad. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
Should we move on?
Let's move on. Let's get out of this fucking awful conversation.
You want to lead?
That was a good one.
That was a really good one.
Back at it again. Next segment, we're going to be talking some music.
Some music, man.
We have a couple main topics that we wanted to go over, but I just wanted to run through a few things really quick. There's some projects that came out. XXX Tentacion put out a little EP. It's like the Ghetto Christmas, I think is what it's called. Something like that. It's pretty good. Honestly, there's a song called Up Like an Insomniac. It's a very good song for an XXX Tentacion song. I like it. What else came out? The new T Grizzly.
T Grizzly came out.
Lil Durk.
Bloodas.
That's good. Check it out.
We also have a quality control with the whole QC group with like Lil Yachty, Migos.
Oh, that came out?
Yeah.
Is it a song or a project?
No, it's a project. It's like a 30-song project.
30 songs?
It's long.
Whoa. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like...
Is there good stuff on there?
There's not some bad stuff, but I mean like the only like real main topic about this project and the only reason why I got a lot of buzz is this everyday struggle versus Migos beef.
The Wegos versus the Migos.
Wegos versus the Migos. That's the only reason why this project has become more listened to, more popular, because I think the Wegos or Everyday Struggle said it right. This project would have had no hype, no nothing, unless they would have like dissed somebody. And they did diss Joe Budden in the song Ice Tray.
Ice Tray. Drop top.
Joe Budden. Pussy. Basically, that's what the song is about. It's calling Joe Budden a pussy. And they also are making a music video to that song. with fake Nadeska, fake Academics, and fake Joe Budden.
Fake Nadeska.
Just looking at them now, I mean, just a quick summary of those guys. All of them don't look like any of them except for the Academics look alike. He kind of looks like him.
Just because of the chub factor.
Just a little chub.
Got that chub. No shots, DJ Academics, but hit the gym, bro.
Hit the gym.
Just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think of this? I mean, I know this isn't like a topic we were going to discuss, but just quickly, what are your thoughts? And
I mean, I don't think they necessarily wanted. It sounds kind of weird, but I feel like they would have marketed it differently if it was a main project, obviously, from any of them. You know, like Culture 2 or a new Yachty project. So I feel like it's just an excuse to put out some songs that they're not going to put on their albums.
yeah, the B-rolls, yeah.
They're kind of lucky in the sense that they have this other thing going on, so it's going to get more attention. But like I feel like I'm very in on the music loop, especially this type of music, and I didn't even know this came out. So, I mean, I did have a busy week, but I still would have heard about it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a little interesting, but I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily something they're pushing as like, we want this to be the biggest album.
Yeah, I think this is just kind of like let's see how many sales we can get from streaming.
Yeah, just from throwing it out there.
Putting it on YouTube, because I don't think they still count as streams.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another topic, which I'll discuss later. But because I just thought about it now. Just thinking about all this stuff, I'm just glad it's like, as long as it's all in good fun, I'm all for this kind of like fuckery, as Academics would call it.
Fuckery.
Just kind of like this bullshit that's going on. As long as it's all for fun, I think it's fine. It's fair and game. I just don't want it to get serious to where a point where like the Migos are actually like upset, or even Joe Budden is actually upset at one another. These are just like friendly jabs after like an incident that got real. When shit gets too real.
Yeah, I honestly think this is the first time Joe Budden's ever handled something like an adult. As far as beefs are concerned, he just kind of laughed it off, you know, thought it was funny. Finally, acting like an adult.
I think it's I think it's interesting though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I think it's interesting because if this happened back maybe 10 years ago, if you don't come out with a diss song, you're getting roasted. But now if you come out with a diss song now, like if Joe Budden came with a diss track to the Migos, people are gonna say he looked corny.
Even 10 years ago. All right, I'm gonna get even more of a tight time frame, right? 6 to 7 months ago, if they had come out with diss tracks, totally fine. Now, because of the whole YouTube diss track thing, now they're getting roasted for putting out diss tracks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, YouTube, Jake Paul has ruined another thing for us hip hop fans. He's ruined the diss track. Rice Gum and Jake Paul. They did it.
I mean, I will say they definitely watered it down. I will definitely say that.
This would have elicited a real diss track if it hadn't been for how prevalent diss tracks have been on YouTube.
No, I just think it comes down to like what social media feels today. It's like a generation where it's like, if you go at somebody lyrically that isn't as lyrical as them, then you're looked as corny, or you looked as, okay, you're fighting an unfair fight.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but I honestly do think like this would have elicited diss tracks had it not been for YouTube. I think that's a major part of it. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. Though. I mean, I can't guarantee anything. That's the way I feel about it. Like, I feel like Joe Budden probably would have put out a diss track because, like, he put out diss tracks towards Drake, you know, over like that was an even stupider beef, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was. It was dumb though, you know, and his diss track wasn't very good. So I don't know. I'm tired of diss tracks though. I honestly am glad that they didn't put them out. I wouldn't want to listen to it. I probably wouldn't listen to it.
Yeah, it just comes to a point where now we're in this time frame of just nonsensical diss tracks with Rice Gum, even what's his name? God, Keemstar.
Keemstar. Yeah, it's over with for me. It's effectively been ruined for good.
Yeah, like good on them because they've taken advantage of a system where they're able to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Good on them, but in terms of just like, you know, going back to an old thing we talked about, the old head with the rose tinted glasses, it kind of just ruins the rap
Yeah.
genre because it is the now more popular genre now. Hip hop is the most popular genre.
Yeah. I think we've hit a point too. Like I honestly think diss tracks are gonna be gone for a while. From actual rapping. Like I think Drake might have put out the last big one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he might have done it. He might have broken the diss track game for good. I think he did because we're never gonna get another Ether again. Like Kendrick Lamar's not putting out a diss track towards anybody.
No.
It's just not in his best interest as a musician to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about it on The Charge, which is our basketball show. If you don't watch, please watch it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the subtweet era. It's now all about subtweeting in your music, in your tweets, in your words. Whatever you can subtweet in, memes even.
Anything.
You're subtweeting. Arthur memes, exactly. He's gotten to a point where, we even just recently, Kendrick dissed Big Sean in some of the songs.
That's already over with.
And even then, Big Sean, I don't think he really. I mean, I think he had a really weak one in this new project. What was it, Double or Nothing?
Yep.
He had one that was really weak, so I wouldn't even consider it a diss track.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is now. I mean, we just
glad it's over. I'm glad
it's over. Ooh, another good clap right there.
Oh man, we're on fire today, as always. In this Fusion Corp way, that's how we do.
It's only the Fusion Corp way.
Let's move on, Bernie. Let's talk about a not good project.
Yes. Very
Double or Nothing. We mentioned it a little bit ago. Big Sean, Metro Boomin. It's not good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of Big Sean's.
That was a needle drop meme.
It's definitely one of Big Sean's most mediocre projects he's dropped in a very long time. I know his earlier mixtapes weren't very good, but this is just plain bad. I think this just basically is Def Jam, and I think the Everyday Struggle talked about this. This is just Def Jam. Sorry, as I couldn't talk right there. It's just a ploy for them to get more money because they're kind of on afloat right now. They're not over and they're not under. They're just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And, they were like, okay, they made Bounce Back, Metro and Big Sean. They're like, okay, we saw success in that. And they're like, okay, let's just make a project between these two guys and see what happens.
Yeah.
Which, most of the times it doesn't work out to be a very good album. Sometimes we get some mediocre projects or we get some average projects. Like I think the Drake Future project, What Time to Be Alive, was a very mediocre project. Yeah. It wasn't. It's not as good as I thought it would be. Yeah. It's just like basically those tapes are based on hype.
Well, the problem is it's like, and this is what I was telling you before. The problem is that it's a Metro Boomin produced mixtape, album, whatever you want to call it, project.
Playlist.
Every other week at this point, one of the big artists in the industry puts out a collaboration album with Metro Boomin.
Mm-hmm.
And 95% of the time, all of Metro Boomin's beats sound the same. He does the same ad-libs and puts in the same stuff on all of his songs. And it's just like, it's such an overload of his production with every different artist that it's like it all starts to sound the same,
Mm-hmm.
And it almost makes me like some of the other projects like a little less, like the best one he put out this year easily was Without Warning. Easily, we've talked about it on the channel. It's a legitimate, really, really good project.
Right.
But after having listened to this Big Sean and suffering through it, like I don't want to listen to that project for a little while because it sounds the same. It's the same style of production, and I can't do it. And then you partner Big Sean, who, mind you, has some good songs. Some of his back catalog, like I think Finally Famous is a good album.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Sky or Dark, whatever's what's that
Dark
album?
Skies Paradise.
Dark Skies Paradise has some good songs on it. But he is easily one of the corniest rappers, and I mean this just as a fact, like I actually really like Big Sean. I actually like him as seeing him talk and stuff. Like I think he seems like a nice guy as far as the industry is concerned. But he is like one of the worst rappers. Just like his lyrics are just so bad.
Some of his lyrics are bad. Like I'll go through some of them. There was this one in the Go Legend song. Oh my god, you cock block, bitch. I sock you out your socks. Bad. This one, even worse. Pussy so good, I never fuck you in the ass.
Classy.
What goes around comes around faster than fidgets.
Is that a fidget spinner joke? That's a line on fidget spinner. Ew!
And then start from square one on some first cigarette shit in a whole direction.
Oh my god. I don't drink tap water, but got tapped phones. Got a long dick. That shit barely fit. Like OJ's glove, you must quit.
I'm not playing with you, bitch. This is not the WNBA.
Go away, Big Sean. Go away and take a step back, all right?
This could be the curse of Janine Aiko. It could be something with that because this is not the Big Sean I'm expected at all. You know, some people have been championing him as like the top 4. You know, there's the top 3. You got Kendrick, J. Cole, and Drake.
It ain't Big Sean.
Big Sean was, in some aspects, I won't say now because obviously now it's gone, but in some aspects he was trying to vie for that 4th or 5th spot.
He was trying. He was there for a little bit. For a couple of years, it was him. You know, it really was because he was really hot, and a lot of his songs were like really good. He was putting out some really good songs. Even Bounce Back, like some of the songs on that album. What's the name of that?
Dark
album?
Sky Paradise.
No. That's not on. That's not on the album. He put out a different album this year with Bounce Back on it. And it's like it has some decent songs on it. You know, I don't remember the name of it.
Let me look. You look. Right. I'll look, and you just keep that.
I think he suffers from like he's trying to just do too many punchlines. You know, which is what Lil Wayne.
Oh, I decided.
That came out this year. There's some good songs on I Decided. It's not a good project, but there's some good songs on it.
Mm-hmm.
This mixtape with Metro Boomin, whatever the fuck it's called, a playlist. I don't care. It's bad. It's real bad.
Yeah, I just get disappointed because I have been championing Big Sean, and before this project came out, we were going to do a topic on how I think that he's a very underrated rapper in terms of his, career, because a lot of people overlook him. They think he's corny, and I don't think I've ever. I mean, there's been some corny lines, like the Quagmire line.
He's always got a few in his songs.
But it wasn't as bad as this album. This playlist, mixtape,
Cornball
album. This was not his album. This is not his mixtape. He needs to go back into the lab, look up how not to be so corny, and because I'm a Big Sean guy. I love him since I heard Finally Famous, and this isn't the Finally Famous Big Sean. It's not like there hasn't been like an evolution of growth with him that I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like more of the same. It literally sounds like these are songs that were on the B side of Finally Famous.
Yes. And now, I mean, we go to the topic of Metro Boomin, who's also having this kind of...
ruining the industry.
I won't say ruining. He's definitely he's overplayed in the industry. I will say that. Yeah. He has some really good connects to where not only does he get on a lot of albums, but he also gets a lot of notoriety and attention. I mean, he has a statue now in the Brooklyn Museum with him, 21 Savage, and SZA, I believe. So he's getting a lot of just attention from a lot of people because, I mean, in some aspects, he does make the same beats that are good, but at the same time, when you make too many of them, it becomes repetitive and some of them sound the same. And some artists can't do a collab with Metro Boomin because their styles don't mesh together. Yeah. And that's what I feel like we're at right now with this Metro Boomin era.
Yeah. I mean, he's such like a hot commodity as far as like people want his beats because they want his name associated to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's getting a little rough. Like, and the thing about Metro Boomin is he does put out some really good work. you know?
Right.
Like, there's a song on here that I actually really like the production for. I can't even remember the name of it. It's the one that's like Spanish sounding music. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like Latin sounding beat.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it now.
What is it called? We're gonna look. We're finding it. Shit, what's it called?
Is it this one with So Good?
No.
Because that one was actually not too bad.
I think it's Who's Stopping Me. I think it's that song. There's a song on this album mixtape project that is like a Latin style beat, and it's really like it's pretty cool production, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But Big Sean sounds awful over it. Like, I think Metro Boomin, the problem is he makes good beats, but they don't tune the beats to be meant for a certain kind of artist. You know, he just makes a beat and then he puts a rapper over the beat. Mm-hmm. And this album is a perfect example of that. Like, it's just a bunch of Metro Boomin beats with Big Sean just making corny punchlines over the whole thing.
Yeah, I just hope that Big Sean can learn from this album in terms of how it's being received. I do think it does get an unfair criticism in terms of it's either straight fire or it's trash, which I feel like it's not on the side of good, it's on the side of mediocre.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people, you know, in today's day and age, especially social media, it's either trash or it's straight fire. I think as music critics and just people in general, you need to, I think we've talked about this before, not defending the album because it definitely wasn't good, but I think we do need to give stuff more listens in terms of giving it a week before we decide like how we feel about the project. I mean, there's some projects like you can instantly tell, and this was one of them. It's mediocre at best.
I agree with you, and I tend to like try and give things a couple listens before I write it off. And honestly, I did give this one, as painful as it was, I did give this 2 listens. But like, I know for my taste, like when I go through the first time of a mixtape, a project, and it's just like, it's really hard to sit through.
Yeah.
I tend to get a good feeling that I'm probably not going to like it. Every once in a while, I'll listen to, like, a good example is PNB Rock's new thing, the Catch These Vibes. That was kind of hard to listen to the first time. And then now I can't stop listening to it. It happens. But if you're struggling to stay entertained over the course of a 10-song project, which is pretty short relatively nowadays, you know there's a problem.
Yeah. That's the only thing I will give credit to Big Sean for. He understands this landscape of people having too much music on projects and albums.
Yeah.
So I will appreciate that he gave it a 12-song album.
I hate 20-song albums.
20-song album. Anything over like 15 is over. It's too much.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
They need to, I think they need to realize is that you don't need to put out 1 million songs. I know that the thinking of the music minds and the business people is that, okay, if we have more songs, people will stream it more because they'll listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
But it just becomes tiresome. It becomes an annoyance to listen to like 15 to 20 songs on an album. Like, and that's just like one. And in this new era where it's microwave music, there's a lot of music projects coming out.
Yeah.
So it's hard to listen to every single one if you're going to make it a 20-track project.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially when it's, like, not very good. You know? You just, like... I don't know. The attention span of a lot of people nowadays is not 20 songs worth of time. Like, most people just don't listen to all the songs. They go to Apple Music, they see the ones that have the stars next to it, and then they listen to those 3 songs, and then they're done. That's usually how it works. I don't know. Metro Boomin, I need a break from Metro Boomin. I don't think there's any artist he could pair with that I'm going to listen to the next thing he puts out.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably is like a couple, but not that I can think of off the top of my head. Anyway, guys, do you have anything else to talk about?
Do you want to give your bars of the week?
Ooh, bars of the week. All right. Stall for me.
Music, gimmicks.
Stall.
Wrestling.
Stall.
I don't know what else to say, man.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna bar it up.
I'll give a bar of the week just based on the fact that it's going to lead to some very good fuckery, and that is from the Joe Budden diss track, Ice Tray.
Ice Tray. All right, my bars of the week. I'm gonna do a two-parter. Both from the new T Grizzly project. I know my bars of the week last week were from T Grizzly on What Your City Like. I'm gonna throw two songs from this new project. You guys need to check them out. The first song, the album titled song, Blood Us.
Blood Us, yeah. And
then Third Person. That third person song is actually like really interesting because it's T Grizzly and Lil Durk going back and forth, and they're rapping about themselves individually in the third person, and they're being like very honest, like, you know, things that people have criticized them for in the past, or like, you know, just stuff that people are saying about them, and they point it all out, and, you know, most of it is them trying to disprove those things, but, you know, they're very honest, and they bring light to things that people criticize them for in a very interesting way. Bars. Those are some bars. Both of those songs, bars alert.
Bars alert.
Behind bars.
Behind the bars.
Anyway.
That sounds like a prison show.
Behind bar. It does. It is, probably.
Don't steal it. Don't steal it.
Don't steal it from us. TV shows. Couple announcements for the channel. I'm going to be starting a Let's Play this week.
Ooh.
I'm going to be doing Bloodborne. I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched that game, know it, play it. It's a great game. I decided that's the first game I want to play on the channel. I'm going to go through the whole game, Let's Play style. I'm not just going to do clip show style shit. I'm going to do like the full game. Look for that maybe on Friday. I think I'm going to get the first one out. Next week, Gimmick Cast is going to be predictions or not predictions, but
nominations.
Nominations, that's the word I meant to say. Nominations for all of our favorite things of the year. I felt like we both felt like it would be fun to do like an award show style podcast for the channel, because both of us are very opinionated on what we like and what we don't like. We're going to be giving awards for worst and best.
Yeah, I mean this can range from sports, music.
Big Sean, you might be in contention, bro.
Sports, music, TV shows, movies. I mean, whatever we could think of as our favorite topics. Even wrestlers, we might do a little bit of that.
I think we should do that too.
But whatever it is, we're doing an award show for best and worst.
Yeah, so stay tuned for the nominations, and then the week after is going to be the actual award show.
Yeah, a little Christmas gift.
We might send some trophies to some people if we can find addresses.
They don't have an award for that.
They will now. So, guys, let us know your nominations. Like, just think very generic topics, right? Like best TV show, best movie, best game, best music, best album, best artist, best new artist. We're just going to be going through. We're going to give our opinions. If you have any nominations, anything you feel very strongly about, let us know in the comments. Tell us what it is so we can maybe include it. Maybe bring our eyes to something we didn't see this year. We'd appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, stay tuned, guys. Hit those comments. Hit that like, subscribe button. Smash it. Smash. Let's put my face on the pop filter. That's kind of gross. But we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks, guys. This has been your boy Pete. That's Bernie.
Yo.
Peace.
Peace.